Welcome to Recruiting Daily's Use Case Podcast, a show dedicated to the storytelling that happens, or should happen, when practitioners purchase technology. Each episode is designed to inspire new ways and ideas to make your business better as we speak with the brightest minds in recruitment and HR tech. That's what we do. Here's your host, William Tincup.
This meeting is being recorded.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is William Tincup, and you are listening to the Use Case Podcast. Today we have Abhi on from WeCP, and we'll be learning about the business case or the use case for why his customers and prospects use WeCP. And that's WeCP, and we'll get into that in just a second. Abhi, would you do us a favor and introduce both yourself and WeCP?
Great. Thank you, William, for having me on your podcast. It's a pleasure talking about WeCP and our journey here. WeCP is primarily for talent acquisition and talent development. So the master use case for WeCP is to acquire good talents and also upskill the talent which is acquired. So WeCP deals deals with technical talent. Primarily that's our sweet spot, and that's where we help companies. So head of recruitment is the person or head of talent acquisition, or sometimes they call. So they use WeCP to do technical hiring, and that's how they acquire good talent. So on a broad level, WeCP can help head of talent acquisition acquire talents at three levels: entry levels, mid levels, and senior levels. And for each of these use cases, hiring entry level, hiring mid level, or hiring senior level engineers and developers, they do different activities. So say, for example, entry levels, they do university hiring and they do coding interviews, coding hackathons, etc. For mid levels, our customers prefer doing lateral recruitment. They do coding interviews, they do pair programming interviews. For senior levels, again, there is a coding interview and pair programming interviews that they prefer. And our product is a SaaS which supports all these use cases.
And the coding interviews, I've got so many questions, but the coding interviews, are you using your own proprietary kind of testing and methodology, or are you integrated with other testing platforms?
No, it's our own proprietary technology. It's our own code.
That's nice. So on the and again, you're really trying to assess because when we're talking about entry, mid, and senior, that could mean something different to everybody that we talk to, right? And so getting a gauge if someone's a React developer, getting the gauge of what's the breadth and depth of their experience, and then being able to then classify them as either entry, mid, or senior.
Yeah, I think we do that. So say, for example, if you want to hire a React developer, you can challenge the candidate by a multiple choice question, or by a coding question, or by a real time project. So a React developer can prove his skill by doing a small React project,
Right.
which is 30 minutes, 40 minutes, or 60 minutes, right on our platform. In browser, they don't have to install anything.
Right.
So that's the use case to check their competence in building applications right away, after they hire. Or alternatively, you can check their plain knowledge, basic knowledge, using code snippet based questions in React, and then later they learn the framework, and after they get hired, and they learn frameworks, and they start the advanced level tasks. So from basic to advanced level judgment, WeCP helps you do all of these.
Because technical talent, obviously everyone knows the same thing. We don't make enough of the technical talent to kind of solve for the problems we have today, much less tomorrow. So we all kind of get the bit. What is technical? Because you get to interact with technical talent all the time. What do they like to do in the interview process? Like Like, because you give them obviously you give them different options, or they give the employer to then give the candidates different options, and in terms of taking a skills test or doing a project, answering questions, etc. Like, what if we were to kind of break that out? What is it based on their level, or is it based on just time? Like, what do they like doing?
Yeah. So it's a very good question, William. Technical talent, like if you look at, uh, so I would like to answer this, by dividing the talent into three buckets, like I earlier did, which is the entry level candidates, mid level candidates, and senior level candidate. And the way I define it is entry level is somebody who is 0 to 3, mid level is somebody who's 3 to 5, and senior level is somebody who's 5 plus. Now, each of these candidates have different outlook towards technical interviews and tests. So entry level people, they are fine taking an online screening round.
Mm,
They are fine participating in a challenge and prove their skill, and then further go for a face-to-face interview. uh, Mid-level, we see some sort of hesitation in taking an online and time-bound challenge. They
right.
prefer taking a take-home assignment, or take-home project, and do it at their weekend, and in a free time, and prove their skills. So we've seen that mid-level people doing preferring a take-home project or take-home assignment, and senior level people uh, try or prefer to just get on a interview, face-to-face interview right away, and then talk about the company, the culture, etc. So that's the finding so far. We've seen from our customers.
And so, just to clarify, when someone takes does a project, because one of the things you're also managing or mitigating for folks is not fraud, but other people taking the test or them looking up answers. I mean,
Yeah,
you know all the things I'm about to say, right? So I mean, it's out there, and so people have access to GitHub and Stack Overflow. We ask them a question, they go and Google it and find the answer. So what type of, I mean, because these are also really sophisticated technologists. how how are you dealing with I don't know, not security, but more of the ensuring the quality?
yeah. I think that's a very, very good question. So we definitely, this is a problem where if you give somebody a take-home project, there's a chance that the candidate might indulge into wrong practices to get questions answered by somebody else. So we've solved this problem by a product. So in our product, there's a feature where a candidate can take home the project. They can do in their free time, but they have to switch on their camera, and then probably they'll be prompted
Ah,
as well. Yeah, but at the same time, they can Google and they can find answers. They can do everything on their own, but they'll have to switch on their camera to. So this particular facility is an option for our customers, so they can always switch on and switch off. Number two, we also do code plagiarism checking, wherein we try to run
yep,
their code against
yep.
internet and GitHub repositories, and find the similarity of the code, etc. Try to detect the plagiarism. And third, we also check their code quality. So somebody who is naturally good at certain skill, they have inherent pattern of coding, etc. And we build those smart checks in our code quality tool, which sort of gives a good trust score against each candidate. So holistically, we have the solution built, to solve the problem of cheating and dishonesty. So which we've pretty much figured it out, and we're actually helping customers, like a lot of these tech companies, Microsoft, companies like as big as Texas Instruments, Infosys, do all these checks and higher quality candidates.
And a part of it, with especially with technologists, is you want them to use resources that are available to them. So on one level, if you're asking somebody, to not to reinvent the wheel, if they can find that code and it's good code on GitHub, or they can make it even better, then that's not necessarily a bad thing. That that is, especially if you know it, like, okay, this part of the code I grabbed off GitHub, I tweaked it a little bit just to make it better. This is all, this is all me. Like, that's not a bad thing. Like you know what I mean? I think it's when people pass off things that are copied or plagiarized, as you said, as their own. Like
Right.
I think that's where people get into trouble. It's like, people don't mind. Most of the technical recruiters I know and hiring managers that I know that hire technical talent, they don't mind if you use other people's codes. As
Yeah.
long as it's good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
As long as, yeah.
yeah, and you don't pawn it off or pass it off as your own. Um, let's talk a little bit about where WeCP is in the funnel. So, do you not to lead you, but where does the talent acquisition professionals, the technical recruiters, where do they use you? Do they use you in sourcing, or do they use you more in screening and qualifying? Where do they use WeCP?
Yeah. So, William, before I answer that question, you brought up a really interesting point, which is, uh, it is completely fine to take the code which is already present and tweak it and improve it. So certainly, and in fact, we practice this. Mm, we allow and enable our hiring managers and recruiters to give initial code, which is starter code, to all the candidates, and they're free to take the code from outside and improve it. We also have assignments where there is a code which is already which is a very standard application, but we create bugs in the system, and then we
Right,
ask
right,
them.
right, right.
So those kind of tasks really help hire people from different perspective, right? So
Well,
that's
it
really
also helps you make sure that the classification is
yeah,
right. Getting back to again, someone can be an entry level, again, based on the years, but their skills are so high that they're not really entry level. Like, what you're really trying to evaluate is what are their skills, and then
exactly.
put them into a classification so that recruiters, if they're hiring an entry or a mid or a senior, then they know that that talent has the capabilities to perform the tasks that are going to be asked of.
Exactly. You're right. You're right. It does. And
So, yeah, go ahead.
yeah. And answering to the question that you asked, William, where do TA professionals find our exact use case? So we start at the sourcing stage. Actually, we are born. When we started, we offered only screening and interviewing.
Oh,
But
okay.
then we introduced two more products, which is one is sourcing and another is onboarding. So onboarding and sourcing are mostly integration features in our tool,
Right.
while screening and interview is a standalone feature. Now, in the sourcing, we have made some advancements wherein we allow our customers to integrate all their channels of candidates acquisition into VCP. They can build a talent pool on VCP. Plus, we also, build a talent pool on our own using our algorithm. So we apply
Right.
social intelligence and we try to acquire talents by our algorithm, and we enable our customers to use talent from our pool. So when you go onto VCP, say for example you don't have any candidates, you put the job post out but you don't have any candidate, you can actually go onto VCP and find the candidates who are ready to take your assessment related to your skill,
Mm,
and CP gives you those candidates. So we warm up every TA practitioner with some candidates initially, and then they can take their natural time to acquire more talent, so that their hiring time shrinks and they find good candidates. And how do we tell them these candidates are interested to your job? That's an algorithm that we've built. So we nudge candidates and we engage with them on through our channels and mobile apps. So that way we're trying to build a really good talent pool, very active talent pool for our customers. So that's the
I
sourcing
love
part.
that. I love that. I think in time, I think what you get pushed into is doing this inside the organization as well. So right now we're focused on talent acquisition, the acquiring or the acquisition of talent. But I think you mentioned it at the beginning, but you know, someone that starts with your company that maybe is an entry level, 6 months into their tenure, they're really now they're mid, and we don't know it, and now they know it, but they know it, and they might look for a job elsewhere because we're not tracking their skill development. And so I can see actually WeCP being used kind of throughout the talent journey, both in acquisition, talent, as you said, talent management, and also upskilling, training, and even outplacement. Being able to
Yeah,
help people once you're parting ways, being able to test them out and then put them out into the
yeah,
work environment. So, have your customers, have you already knocking on your door about internal?
yeah. Yeah, I love to talk about internal use. So, like one A is recruitment, and the B is, upskilling. Where I have seen some of our customers using VCP to, run their training program. So they, in their training program, they use VCP in three stages, precisely. So one is pre-training. They want to gauge where do the talent, currently stays, where his skills are, and the second is in training, and third is post training. So large enterprises are acquiring new technical skills, and they're judging candidates in the three stages of their training using VCP. So they use our technical tests, technical coding tests to gauge their skills perfectly, and that way, even the learners or employees are enjoying because they see the tick mark, after they solve a question, and they sort of like feel accomplished when they solve and get their skills validated. So that's pretty much about the internal use case of VCP.
I love it. And that's just going to get deeper over time. Let me ask
Yeah.
you some buy side stuff for the practitioners that are listening. In engaging with WeCP, what are questions that they should ask? You know, you or your sales team, et cetera. Like, what should they be asking of a platform like WeCP?
So usually, the way I look at the questions by TA teams and TA buyers is around the larger value. To start with, it's the value which VCP creates, and we have those value metrics. For example, we go deep down on hiring time. We go deep down on the offer acceptance rate. We go deep down on the test success rate, how many people actually completed, and we go deep down on the quality of the candidate experience. So these are some of these metrics which we present to our potential customer during our demos and meetings. We say that, look, these are the metrics that we've got answered for you. Even if you don't have these in place in your qualification checklist, vendor qualification checklist, please consider these because we can really perform around these metrics. And so these are like some of those value level metrics. And then we also show benefits of using VCP around different use cases. And then we go around features, right? So it's all the first is the value that VCP can create. Second is the benefit that VCP has, and third is the features. So and benefit and value of each feature. Then we explain them properly. So the way I recommend buyers to ask about or select any such tools is look at the high level value. Put metrics around the high level value, because if they're going to spend $100, what is the ROI that they're going to get in the next 1 year out of this $100, and then check the benefit, and then check the features.
And there's so many new people into technical sourcing and technical hiring. Your customers, I'm assuming that that's who you serve, is the technical sourcing and recruiting community, but also hiring managers that are hiring technical talent probably care about WeCP as well because it's a quality check. It's that way they know what they're what they're interviewing. They know exactly kind of what skill develop, where they're at, what they need to be developed.
Yeah.
Let me go ahead, finish your thought.
Just want to add here, William, because you talked about the user. So if you look at our Wadley map, we have recruiters as one of our user, hiring manager is one of our users. So these are the two, broader actors that they use, who use our tool. And then third is the learning and development managers,
Yeah. Yeah.
So, so yeah, that's pretty much the three major actors in user of our product.
And then it's because the skilling up, well, they've got to have a baseline of what that individual, where they're at in their journey, and then what they need next to get to the next level. That makes sense. And as you add sourcing and onboarding won't change anything, I don't think, but sourcing will add obviously the sourcing part of that, sourcing sourcers.
Talent source.
Customer success, customer stories without names, so without brands, stuff like that, but just folks that have used WeCP and they've just done fantastic work. Like you just love the story coming back that you get to hear from them about how it's helped them shorten the hire or gotten quality hires, whatever the bit is.
Yeah, I mean, fortunately, we've got many case stories around VCP. And sometimes our customers just go and they write reviews for us, even we without even asking them. So we feel like really, and that's the moment, like wow moment for us. So, some of the top problems definitely is the hiring time that we've solved for majority of our customers. So entire hiring time, from so they said us that they could reduce their live interview time by 90%, right? And yet hired solid engineers. Companies like Quinox, the Chicago-based US company, they said that we actually removed bias from our system, like hiring bias from our system, and then we could actually implement VCP for all the technical roles in our company. So companies, such as big as Infosys, if they scale their hiring to hire to assess 100K candidates in one go using VCP. So because they do mass hiring, so largely large enterprises and then mid-sized enterprises, they've been solving their respective problems using VCP, and the problems are mostly around hiring time and quality hiring.
Well, I heard something and I want to run it past you. It was an engineering friend of mine that said basically one of the questions he asked of he's senior. Yeah, of a recruiter is the hiring process. And how many steps are in the hiring process?
So they theoretically, if you see, actually practically, if you see, there are roughly uh, 6 to 8 steps depending on the size of the organization. But uh, like we solve the 4 steps, but before sourcing, there's another step which is about understanding the requirement in the organization, like which
Right.
is job position, writing the job descriptions, and understanding the demands, talent demand from your entire organization, and bringing that up to the head of talent acquisition, and then creating this entire acquisition plan. And then after the acquisition, there's a talent attraction strategy meeting that happens, to attract talent, like what's going to be the strategy to attract talent, how are their websites ready, are their social media handles ready, are their campaigns ready, etc. So the marketing team comes in the picture. So these are the two foundational steps which happens before sourcing actually starts, right? And then after the sourcing, screening, interviewing goes in an automated fashion, and probably can go in an automated fashion with the help of tools like VCP. But then after you make the final selection, post your interview round, you have to onboard them, and there is where you have to do some additional 1 or 2 steps, which is verifying candidate background checks, doing some sort of important compliances with respect to your organization, and then do the final onboarding to your HRMS system and tools. So Practically, there are like six to seven steps, but theoretically, we in our company we try to bring it down in 4 steps:
Uh,
sourcing,
uh,
screening, and
and thank you for explaining that. Have you seen or do you see engineering or technical talent wanting this process to move faster? Like, or are they okay with the pace that in general? Like, because the sense I get is that on the corporate side, we move slow, like months, weeks, and days, and the talent wants us to move in seconds, minutes, and hours. Now that's just
Yeah.
it's an anecdote. I don't have any data. I don't have any data to back that up. But you're sitting there squarely in the middle of this. What is technical talent? How fast do they want to move?
Yeah, technical talent wants to move quite fast. I mean, actually, their first need is to get a feedback, like very good and a quick feedback. So even in case of rejection,
Mm,
uh, they want a feedback, and they want to be engaged with the company, at every stage. So they should not feel ghosted, right? So that's one of the core demand of every technical talent that I have observed and we have seen. And that's where most of our customers ask us, hey, do you have a feature where you can re-engage candidates automatically? And we do have in our product. There's a feature which automatically sends you a rejection email, a very polite rejection email. Once you don't, if you're not selected for the after the screening round, right? And these are the, like, you can set the workflows, or you can set those benchmark of rules of rejection. So in nutshell, technical talent wants to be informed about every step, and it has to be quick. uh, on the other side, do corporates really want to move fast with respect to hiring? It depends on the situation in the company, how burning is the need. I have seen companies where if the need is like need of talent is like really burning, and hiring managers or delivery managers are pressing recruiters to, hey, get me the talent ASAP. Then the demand of the process becomes of a quick pace, to take a quick pace. Uh, but if the organization is like, okay, fine, we have enough talent to do the coding and work, and we're getting our production on time, etc., then they go slowly, and that's where the de-alignment with the candidate happens. So it's mostly with the the amount of burning that they have, how much is the need in the organization. So that's the observation until now. But majority of our customers and hiring managers and recruiters, they want to pacify these steps. They want to speed up on their hiring process.
right. Well, Abhi, this has been wonderful. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast.
Thank you, William. Thanks
Absolutely.
for
And thanks for everyone listening to the Use Case Podcast. Until next time.
You've been listening to Recruiting Daily's Use Case Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite platform and hit us up at recruitingdaily.com.